And big,
Thanks. Okay, friends, do you want me to close the door?
yeah, you could do that, Barb. That'd be great. We'll go ahead and get started.
Here.
So anybody shows up now, they have to sing, dance, or tell a joke, right? Because well, we're 3:59, so
Yeah, 2 minutes.
minute and a half. We'll give it another minute, just in case. You want me to go tell my family to be quiet?
Hey, they're in warm weather.
Yeah, they're enjoying it, which is good. I think we're close enough. All right, I'm going to call us to order. We provided proof of notice, so the agenda was appropriately posted. Not only do we have a quorum here of the board, but everybody's here.
Yay.
Yeah, which is good. And we're going to go through a little bit of an effort that we normally don't go through in approval of the previous minutes. And I say that because hi folks, because the agenda went out and it actually referenced a May meeting, which is incorrect. So we're going to adjust that. So if you've got a pen or a pencil, just put a big old line through approval of the May 6th minutes, and we're going to correct this when we do the minutes in Marbella Lake's website. But also, we do need to go back and the board needs to approve the September 25th meeting, because in the November meeting, which I'll get to in a second, and the board's aware of this because everything's been sent out to them and they've looked it over. For some reason in the November meeting, we didn't capture approval of the September minutes. So just to make sure, we need to do that today. And I think what that tells us is we got to be a little careful when we rely too much on the audio recordings, because the audio was not clear, even though everyone I talked to said they remembered the approval coming up during the meeting like we usually do right now when we approve the minutes from the previous meeting. So just in case, we're going to do that today. So I'd like a motion to approve, because you've all read them, unless there are any changes.
I motion to approve to the.
Motion made. Second. Okay.
Again.
That takes care of the September minutes. Thank you. And now we'll move to the November minutes. And if there are no changes to the November minutes, we'll dispense with the reading of the minutes. And if I get a motion, we'll approve those. Motion made, seconded. Okay. So now we're up to speed on the minutes. Thanks, folks. A few opening remarks. So, in thinking about this, I think what we're all looking for as a community is a safe, secure, friendly, fun, happy, healthy, fiscally responsible, and financially feasible community. We all play a part in that. And so there's a couple things that continue to come up. One, of course, is the issue with dog poop. And I hate to bring that up again, but it comes up, so we do need to mention it. Please make sure that, and tell everybody you talk to, please make sure you clean up after yourselves. It helps out tremendously if we all do our part to keep the community clean. I've always tried to operate with the philosophy that you treat others with the same kind of respect that you want to be treated with, and try to leave things better than they were when you found them. And part of that is as you walk around and you look at things, and if you see something, try to help out if you can. And certainly if you have a pet, having a pet, as I've said before, is not a right, it's a privilege. So please treat it appropriately as a privilege and clean up. The other thing is, and we do have issues with people who are driving way too fast through the development. That's worse to me than the dog issue because that's dangerous. And we want to make sure that people operate safely in driving through the community. But I will say, don't put yourself in a position where you're yelling at somebody who's driving too fast, because I've seen that blow up and it doesn't end well typically. So if you do see people that are driving too fast, try to report it. Usually it's the same folks and maybe they're driving the same car, and let us do our best to try and handle that appropriately instead of having anybody get involved in that and run the risk of creating bad blood between you and whoever the folks are who are driving too fast through the neighborhood. Also, you may have noticed that the HOA, not the COA, but the HOA, we've agreed and concurred, has the police periodically posted in the community. And they are stopping people. A lot of warnings have been issued. There have been some tickets as well. And if you get a warning, the next time you're likely to get a ticket. So drive safely, stop at the stop signs appropriately, put your turn indicators on, drive like you're supposed to drive, don't speed. And one thing I will tell you, gates, if you come through the gates, make sure that when the gate opens up and you pull up to the stop sign that you stop. Don't let the gate open up and then just blow through. Because if the police are here, you will get stopped. Okay. The other thing is, and I want to remind all of us as owners, we do have an obligation to properly maintain the inside of our unit. Okay. Owner responsibilities are spelled out currently in our declaration, section 19, for those of you that haven't looked at it and want to do so. And there are maintenance and repair provisions in there that explain what owners are responsible for in their units. And things that, you would say, okay, I get it. Like you got to properly maintain your HVAC units. You should have them serviced twice a year. You should have some current hot water heater. It should not be ancient. Insurance companies are starting to get a little more specific in terms of what they expect owners to have in terms of an aged hot water heater. And they should be looked at periodically, hoses and those kinds of things, but other things as well. And it is spelled out in there. So that brings me to the next quick topic in opening remarks, and that is we have two sites currently, as I'm sure everybody is aware, at least I hope you are. We have the Marbella Lakes website and we have Appfolio, okay? We are trying to make sure now that we have appropriately sectioned those off so that each one serves a particular purpose. So what we're trying to get to is have Appfolio operate as the historical repository for record retention, all right? Because it works well for that. It also works well for board-related activity. The Marbella Lakes site should be the owner's single source of truth for things like our declaration documents, what's expected for owners in terms of your responsibilities, meetings and agendas that should go back now 1 year, right?
Florida statute 1 year.
And those types of things should be in the ML site. The other thing that we want to keep in there are anything related to activities. So you're likely to see upcoming activities listed under the condo section in the Marbella Lakes website. Some of the things that we'll review here today will be in there going forward as well, and that should help folks out. So this way, when we send a communication, which we're going to try and bolster up, by the way, when we send a communication out, you will know that what is being sent out can also be found in the Marbella Lakes website. Okay, so if for some reason you lose track of an e-blast or some other message that's been sent out, you should be able to find it then easier than in the past in the Marbella Lakes website. Okay. Also, and we'll get to this again, I'll just reinforce it. In ARB, the new ARB form is also for condos, is also in the Marbella Lakes site, as well as the form for HOA, not related to this, but the condo is in there as well. And every section that you look at in the Marbella Lakes site has been reconfigured so that you'll see HOA, and then underneath you'll see COA. And it should make it easier from a consistency and a continuity standpoint to find what you're looking for. Okay, very important to us. Okay, any questions on that, comments? Okay. Treasurer's report. Denise?
Hello, how's everybody? So I'll start with our cash position as of today. In the operating fund, we have 72,584. I updated, I'm gonna shoot print these out. And reserve fund 157,817 and 49,145 in the escrow. So that's just updated today. I had done the other one as of Friday, but since I had my computer here, I just updated. Our reserve fund balance at Edward Jones is $1,808,204. Last year, we got $51,495 in interest. So
On the right side? No.
That's-
You guys turn off your mute. Everyone mute themselves on the Zoom.
that's what you'll know we'll have to pay taxes on. So minus if the auditors can figure out if we could take anything from reserves, which were like repairs, and I'm not really sure the semantics if a roof repair or what exactly goes into it, but they did try to reduce it last year a little bit and saved us some money.
You don't get taxed if it's something that
Came from the reserves.
came
And you
from the
could-
reserves because it's facility or building repair, not new, not something new that you've brought in.
We continue to have CDs that are expiring on a revolving basis. Not to have everything all looped up into one. And I had a nice meeting with Edward Jones last week. And he explained to me that when we have money in there, even if it's locked up, we still can borrow money or take money from it without penalty, just so you know. But thankfully, we don't need it. So that's neither here nor there. Cash management, we paid our plethora of insurances. Happy to report, we paid $247,803. We had put $260 in the budget. When we did some going back over it with the insurance people, we were able to get $12,000 less. So we're already cash positive against our budget. Upcoming says roof repair, but it's roof inspection. It came under repair, but it's the inspection for advanced roof. That's 6695, and the fire inspection, which I guess is now delayed again.
Pardon me?
The fire extinguisher inspections. That's $2,700. That's all. That's upcoming. That's the only two big bills that we have right now, thankfully. Just to go over some highlights against last year's budgets, kind of let you know where we're at. We were over budget on building maintenance, but there's some things that go in and out of that I spoke with Destiny at Seacrest. We were plus on on-site maintenance, so one can net against the other. We spent more on pest control, but I don't know if you're going to talk about pest control.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing good there. We were also negative with legal, which seems to be, in my opinion, our two nemesis points are going to be legal and roof for some reason. Those are the two items I foresee for 2026 that will say are going to hit our bottom line in a way that we're not happy about.
And just so you know, legal sometimes has to run on its own when you have a problem that you have to pursue with individuals who may be behind in their dues. And that puts them on a track. And so, there's not much wiggle room there in terms of how legal has to get involved in that. And at some point, we have to back away from it and let them move forward. It's unfortunate, but it does happen.
We were under budget on last year's insurance as well by 22,000. So that helped with the other stuff that we were over budget on. And we did not spend all the money that was allocated for landscape enhancements. We have $7,000 left. So we reduced that budget amount so as not to increase our fees too much. We reduced it by a little bit, but so we had some carrying over, and so we should be in good shape. Is that Peter?
I don't know.
Okay.
Somebody coughed.
Oh, okay. The only other thing is our budget, our audit report came back clean. I think we talked about that at the last meeting, so that's good. And that's it. That's all I've got. If you have any questions.
Okay. Motion to approve the treasurer's report. So moved. Second. Seconded. Treasurer's report is approved. So let's go through a bit of a listing of business items that we're working on through the course of 2026. Denise just talked about insurance. The good news there is that it came in under what we thought. We did ask to get some quotes from another broker who told us that he really could not do better than what we had. That I think was when we were at about 270. That was before the latest discounts. So we felt pretty good about where we were at from an insurance standpoint. It's one of those areas where you do have to be careful because you've got to make sure that not only is the coverage you have adequate, but the companies that you're working with are appropriate for what we need. So in that case, it really is true. Cheap is not always the best option because you got to make sure that you have not only the appropriate coverage, but that they're going to be there when they're needed. And they're going to be there the way you need them to be there.
Yeah, and all the ones we have are an A+.
Yeah.
In the AM Best ratings. So.
Fire protection. We now have all 15 of the boxes are new, right? So we should be okay for a while. My understanding in getting involved in this is that those do not last forever. They typically have about somewhere around a 10 to 12 year lifespan before you've got to start looking at them. So we have to take that into consideration as we go forward. We have had some other problems. I mean, occasionally somehow the polarity gets out of whack and it sends false signals, and that has to be adjusted. And those are things that when an issue is identified, you have to get on it immediately. We really don't have a choice.
Because the fire protection people come out and do like random inspections.
Yeah. And we run the risk of, first of all, it's a safety risk potentially. We don't want that, but also there's the risk of getting fined if it's not, fixed quickly and up to speed. Landscaping, you probably got the note, and now it's been raining. So from the standpoint of putting some landscaping in, probably helps us out a little bit. But as mentioned in the note, keep in mind, we have been, you can call it a drought. We've been in severely dry weather. And as noted in the communication that we sent, we are on a county restriction in terms of watering. We can water twice a week. We can't pull much more out of the ponds, or the county comes in and, they could actually reduce us to once a week. They haven't, and we'd prefer they didn't. And I think this rain will help us out. But the other thing is that when the ponds get too low, they start to suck silt into the system. And that becomes an issue too. So we got to be mindful and be careful of all those things. And the other thing is, and I mentioned this in the note, we don't want to throw landscaping out there if there's a high risk that it's not going to make it. It's expensive. And so we try to be very careful with how we're looking at this and when we go to put it in. And the same thing is true. I mean, sod and bushes and shrubs. So we did gather some together and we're doing the replacements now. I don't know if they're all done yet, but they're,
Yes.
yeah, but they're moving forward with those now. Yes.
I just wanted to say that I very rarely submit requests, and I did one about 10 days ago for 3 little bushes on my side, and they were completed today. Fantastic. Thank you, Pastor.
Yours, yes, we did it, this week.
Yeah. Well, you
Everything
can't,
was approved.
yeah, you kind of got lucky. If you had submitted that about a month and a half ago, we would have said we have to wait because, we really were worried that we just put stuff in, it'll just die. So, yes.
Good, I'll bring it up now. I'd like to talk about the condition of the lake. But I could wait till the end and bring that up because I've been trying to get the HOA, who's responsible for that, to do something about improving landscaping and plantings along that lake. At one time, our lake looked like the lake behind the homes. It was beautiful, and somehow all of the lake vegetation was killed.
Yeah.
As part of trying to control the growth on top of the lake.
Yeah.
They have never done anything other than plant some flowers, and then they died because they planted wrong. I have a suggestion, because the HOA is always stalling on doing anything about that because you talk about the money amount. Get them to commit to do 50 feet a year. Put spike grass in and start building back up the appearance on that lake, because it really is, it looks like mud flat right now. It is the worst looking lake, and we look at all that every day, and all the people that are on that lake look out and see mud flats.
Okay, fair point. We will look into that. There's a couple issues that I know are taking place. One is that the health of the lake is you're talking about Lake 5?
Yes.
There's a little bit of a compromised situation there because the fans that are at the bottom, I think one of them
Lake
is broken. It's not working.
Were approved if you came to the.
That does make a big difference because that circulates the water in the pond. So yeah, so right, so they're fixing that. But I think the point you're making is beyond just that, and I've looked at that as well. It's compounded by what I just referred to, which is the severe dry situation that we've been in, but that's not the only reason. Yeah.
It's not just this year. They won't do anything. They just talk about it and then don't do it.
Yes.
So, never.
Yeah.
Usually they try to keep that low.
Right. Yeah. So that goes back to the dry conditions, but that's not the only. So we'll definitely take that under advisement. So yes.
Start pumping water back. Turn the pumps on and start.
I'm sorry. What do you mean?
You have to keep the ability of pumping water from the ground into the lakes.
Well, we do, but as I just said, because we've been in a severe drought, we can only pump so much out of the ground.
But have they started?
Well, they've been doing it. Otherwise, those lakes would be completely dry. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but they're restricted as to, so I mean, they can only pull so much out before the county comes in and says, you're done.
Usually at the pool, you can smell the stuff.
Yeah, when they're, yeah. Yep. So that has been a problem. I mean, this rain should help us out, but it's been, as I said, really, you could call it a drought. It's been a drought. Okay. Anything else on that? Because we've got a few other things to cover here. Okay. Roof cleaning and repairs. We're coming off of a contract with Advanced Roofing. I think we've already approved to move to iRoof for some of the activities, and we'll probably use them going forward. In fact, that is the plan. We've had them run quotes together, and iRoof seems to be a little bit less. It's not significantly less, but I think the service seems to be better, and we like the results a little bit more. So that's kind of the way we're leaning. So once we finish with this latest contract with Advance, which was a multi-year contract, not signed by this board, but that's okay. But we'll probably move away from them. Pressure washing, driveways and walk-ups, I think September. Is that our next
August, September.
September? Okay, and again, that's something we'll have posted up on the site, and obviously we'll be communicating that out as these dates get closer. Tree trimming, as I mentioned before, we're now doing that twice a year. So we just completed a trimming, and there's another one that'll be coming in fall. Okay, so more communication will be coming out on that. But I think that helps because it keeps things trimmed up, and they've grown to the point where we need to do that. Mulch, we had a bit of an issue with the mulch company coming in before they were supposed to, sort of unannounced, and they were throwing things around, and we just weren't. That's southeast spreading. So
We're in the process right now.
So we're looking for quotes to get a different mulch company for the next mulch, which will be fall of 2026 here.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I know you're ready. Menu. Is there anything that we would consider putting in the budget for some tree trimming for those magnolias where we replaced them in the back? We took out all the oaks and we planted magnolia trees. Nothing is done with them. They're just so leggy and long, and they're not filling in, and you can't do that to a tree,
We'll talk with
particularly
Letty.
in Florida.
I think we're already looking at a contract with those. I'm not sure if those are HOA or CA.
I don't.
They're beautiful, and they will not be invasive, but they have to be cared for.
Yeah, I think the reason we're communicating up here is because I'm not sure if those are COA or HOA, but we'll look into that. You make a note. They should, you would think they should be, although I get,
Mhm.
now these are the ones that are right way in the back by the fence or by the wall. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Now that's a condo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they should be. Yeah.
So the HOA removed the oak trees.
Okay. We'll look into that. All right. Anything else on that? So stay tuned on a new mulch company, and the date is TBD. Wind mitigation, originally we weren't going to do it because the Florida law changed and we weren't required to do wind mitigation, but all the insurance companies still seem to want it. So we did do it. It is in there. It will be posted in the Marbella site. So if you need, it's in Appfolio now, but we're going to move it over in concert with what I just talked about at the beginning, which is to try and have current single source of truth information in the Marbella Lakes website and make it easy to find. We completed the wind mitigation in the fall of 2025, and that's good for 5 years. Okay, so that should help out with any insurance request for a validation of wind mitigation. Yes. So so they go in and they look for updated or up to date by code bracing to hold frames and roofs down so that they can withstand high wind, appropriately withstand high wind. And ours have been fine. And they were fine in this last wind mitigation report, but a lot of times insurance companies want to see a current report. Even though, I don't know, the law, they might have changed it back just recently, by the way.
Just so, where is the wind mitigation here? Because I just want.
It's not in website yet. It's not mandatory, but Bob requested to put it in
I
there.
want,
But it is an portfolio.
I want everything in there.
It's in
It
that
is-
folder, but it's not on the Marbella
Not
website.
yet.
Not as of yet.
And where would we find it? Would it be under
It'll be under the COA and it'll say wind mitigation.
insurance?
No, it'll just
Wind
say wind
mitigation.
mitigation. There is
It is-
26 in
it is
the
in there.
portfolio right now.
I looked at it. It is in there in that folio. But again, in concert with what I opened up with, we're trying to appropriately divide these things up so that owners have one place to go for all current information, and that's going to be the Marbella Lakes website. As pointed out, the record retention for documents and other documents for board specific use will be in Appfolio. And I think that's a good place for it. But owner information, Marbella Lakes website. Okay. Any other questions on wind mitigation? Okay. Dryer vent cleaning, we're going to do it again, as we said we would, and that's in the budget. So that'll be outside. And we'll coordinate so that folks will have the opportunity to take advantage of a discount to do the inside of their units, which we would recommend everybody do. And that'll be fall. The date is TBD, but as we get closer, we'll finalize the date and we'll give everybody advance notice. So you'll have at least a month to plan and hopefully more. Okay.
And it was very reasonable to add the interior cleaning that you
Yes.
pay for yourself
I thought.
and very worth it to protect yourself, your unit and your neighbors. So,
I have one question then for Nora. What about all the people that never responded or fixed their fans?
We have a
Booster-
list of it. We have a list of it.
Booster fans? Yeah, you're
The
talking
booster
booster fans.
Yeah, we have a list of them. And most of them have required that everybody was updated. So they have been. I received it when I first started here and we followed up with everyone.
Yes, he went after everybody that didn't have them in.
Pardon?
no, they have.
Yeah, what has to, not only do you have to, it has to be working. That's the key.
I have a list of it if you would, have a list of them. If you feel somebody hasn't, that you're bringing it up, then let me know and I can
Well,
check.
we had a list of those that had not.
Right. I got here when came in March, I went and we went over that. We touched base with all the people that Tina left the list for and they complied. We made sure that they brought us certificates, had it completed.
Voice is obnoxious. Is that Sharon Barber?
I don't know. Who is that? No.
You unmuted them.
Yeah. Stay on, if you're on a Zoom call, unless you have a question, you should try to stay on mute, please. Sharon's right here, though, if you'd like to talk. Okay, so any other questions on dryer vent cleaning? We'll move on. Pest control. Good news, bad news. Good news is a little less bait is being eaten. Bad news is there's still bait being eaten. So we're going to continue with the bait stations that we have set up. We're not going to reduce the number. Somebody else was just telling me they found a nest in their vehicle. So
In Marbella?
here in Marbella, yeah. So anyway, yeah. Well, that happens. I mean, they get underneath and they decide this is a great spot, and yeah, they.
Was the car parked like for
No, not
extended
really.
period, not being?
Not really. No, not really. I mean, you'd be surprised how quick they can get in there and make a mess. What's that?
Are we able now, like I would always call neighbors pest control?
So again,
Done an anthill, which happened again now, the fire ants are all over the crop.
okay, so fire ants, that's
landscaping.
That's
so
HOA.
that means that, or that requires that you fill out a work order form.
Means goes through at folio.
The if it's inside your unit, that's Pure Core.
Got
And again, we're going to post that up so that there's a number in there that you call and they will come out and we get X number per month, I think is the way it finally gets. And yeah, and so, you can contact them, and if you need to, for the inside of your unit, you can do that. But for fire ants, as we said, yeah, you got to do a work order for that one, because that is workshop. Okay, any other questions on pest control? Okay. And reach out if you have an issue, or something happens with one of your vehicles. I mean, let us know that. So far so good, but not quite done yet. Okay. Future considerations. So in looking at where we're at right now, we want to start planning for what we'll need going forward. That's going to involve next year's reserve study, which we're due for 2027. That's our mark. We need to look at the life expectancy of the roofs. We need to look at the next painting. Obviously, as I mentioned before, fire and safety, because that equipment doesn't last forever. Believe it or not, in driveways and pavers, that's way off, but still needs to be considered as part of the mix. So, when you look at all of these things and time flies by, it seems like it's way off, but roofs are probably somewhere between 2035 and 2038. Okay, so again, as a proper community association, you got to plan for those things. That's why we're doing reserves. Fire system.
They have 30 years, by the way. I'm looking at the study from the previous study. They have 30 years.
I know. That's not what I heard from them.
Right.
And that's not what we've experienced either. So
Right, so
that's
we
a bit
need
of
to
a
make a
misnomer.
note for the reserve study.
I already did.
Okay, good.
Paint, next paint will be between 2029 and 2030. And then walkways and driveways, that's out there. That's 2040 to 2043. But obviously all those things are expensive. And, if you're kind of adding things up, we're looking at 5 million today's dollars. So we want to make sure we've appropriately planned for that as we go forward. And that will be part of what we'll be working on as a board as we continue forward in 2026. So we'll reach out for some assistance as may be appropriate. And if we tap somebody on the shoulder, we'd sure love to get some additional help. Governing documents rewrite. It's been recommended by the attorneys, probably because they want to charge us, that we have some old governing documents that are probably in need of being rewritten. And then my follow-up question was, well, do we have an obligation to rewrite them? Because it's, $7,000 to $10,000 or more to redo them. And they said, no, not really. I mean, you can keep what you got for as long as you want, really. But some of the documents that we currently have are a little unclear. There's a couple of them that still refer to the developer who's been long gone. So it's something we probably do need to consider, but I want to be very careful with that, because the second we touch them and make a change, we're obligated to Section 728, which is the new Florida statute. And that could be a little tricky. So we just want to make sure if we're going to make a change that it works out the way we would like it to. But we are looking at it, yes. You mean in terms of what we want to change, or? So these are our governing documents. So this tells us.
Once we touch them.
So once we make a change to what we currently have in our governing documents, that suggests that we've updated. And based on the date we do that, that obligates us, unless we do some real fancy footwork, which I don't think we can, that then obligates us by date to follow anything that has preceded that date in terms of a Florida statute, which means currently 728 and all the derivative modifications to 728.
So it's an expensive proposition.
It's expensive and it's
Probably
onerous.
should be 20,000 at least to work with the attorneys, never mind the hours that go into it. And
Now, ultimately, we may have to do it. I think we can probably do it for a lot less, but ultimately, we may have to do it, but that's what we're looking at. So we're a long way from here to there, but I bring it up because it is something we are looking at, as we should be. And finally, before I'm done with the list, these are 2026 meetings. May date TBD, but that'll be the next quarterly meeting. September, just like last year, September will be the next meeting after that. We'll post this up in the site. And then November, December will be the final year-end meeting. I said when I started, I'd do quarterly meetings. We've done quarterly meetings. We'll continue to do those. Okay. Any further questions before we move on to the property manager's report? Yes.
Sitting in the passenger seat, not the officer, it's all.
Deaden the noise. Yeah. So the request that you originally had in, which was from a long time ago, which was sort of news to me because it was so long ago. But then when you sent the follow-up just recently, I sent a note through to the board and said, yeah, we need to look into this. So that's on our radar now. And if we're going to look into that one, we're going to look into all of them because, we have to be consistent. So we want to make sure that if something was taken out, something that is just as effective is put back in. And there are also some noise requirements that we have to adhere to. So we're going to do that as well. Okay. Yes. Property manager's report.
So from the last quarter meeting, we always have annual inspections. And as Bob mentioned, Advanced Roofing just completed the gutter and the roof inspection, and that was in February. We have a fire alarm, a fire extinguisher, and fire sprinklers. We had that completed in November. As many know, the deficiency were followed up, and that was with our old company, TriServe. So we are now away from them, and all the new inspections moving forward will be with Merrimark. The fire extinguishers were due in February, and we found out that TriServe never put them up. So now Merrimark, as everybody should have got the reschedule, it was going to be March 31st, but they had moved it. I sent an e-blast out, and that's outside, so nobody needs inside access. As far as we've had a lot of sales. As you know, we do the sales in-house in the condominiums, and they have been moving very fast from what we see. We've had 8 new sales, and how we track that is, the old owners come out. Once we get the title, it gets in their folio. They get a welcome letter from Seacrest, and then we make sure that we have a key when they arrive, that it's locked up. And then I follow up to make sure that checkpoint is all set and the owners are out. And same way as we go through the leasing. So once we get approval from the leasing, those are in checkpoint for the year or however long they're going to stay. They do a first security deposit that goes into the owner's portal to protect our community. And whichever they leave, we do a check request back to the owner if they feel that they need their security back. So with all this said, AppFolio is extremely, extremely important. And I know everybody has been using the website. And like I said, Chelsea has been doing some educational because some people were having issues with it. Bob, now we are now going to be, Chelsea went for a class, and we're going to do the wind mitigation because a lot of people have been asking for that. So we will add that. But what's going to be in the website is only what is created by Florida statute. And that's usually for a year. So that will be there, and it'll be easy. If anybody has any issues, please contact Chelsea, and she would be more than happy to navigate you through that. Now, I'm saying this in regard to Appfolio. It is extremely, everybody does have to still go through Appfolio. As he said, historical information is in there. Not only is that in there, but we need to do work orders. You can get them through, if you do landscaping, you can go through the website. But it is extremely important that you put a work order in, or we will never know what you need. Because the process is very simple. When you get a landscaping, I get it in Appfolio. I click on it, I assign it to Velati. He will keep it in there, so we have a record. It's the same with the ARB request that we just refilled the ARB. And then we communicate with the ARB committee through there as well. So if we get an ARB, we take the $75 application, and then depending on what the refund is, 500 or 1,000. But we have to control that, because from what I found since I have been here, I've shut down at least four things that were going on that we didn't know about by catching them. So now we have that, the new ARB up to speed. And like he said, that was just going to be up on the website. It has been in Appfolio. And from there, that's how we keep track. So it's extremely important. So if anybody cannot get an Appfolio, Seacrest, please email me. We have to make sure your emails are correct as well. And customer service can walk you through this process. So you'll be able to do both in the website and Appfolio, but it's really to your benefit to know how to use both of them, especially for historical documents. So that's pretty much all I have.
I have a question, if I may, Nora. What's the situation with Seacrest, or property management company? I understand they were taken over by another company. What does that do for us here? Does it represent any changes?
There's nothing that changes, and Bob and Ben met, so you can go on there. It's still Seacrest Southwest, and Bob and Gary have met with Seacrest. So if you have been in the other board meetings, which there is in the minutes from the last board meeting that Gary went over, that you can always, that's why it's very, if you can't get in the website or Appfolio, all that information is immediately put into both. So you can go into the agenda, you can see that it was on there from Seacrest for the last board meeting, annual. So, I mean, the members, and then it's in the minutes.
Bottom line, no changes affecting.
So
us.
he can explain that.
And Gary and I met with Brian and Nora, as well as Chelsea and Diane, several times, just to ensure that there were no changes that were going to affect us, and there aren't. Okay, so I mean, this is more, I think, of a. I think this is a situation. Yeah, it's a platform that can potentially help Seacrest out with some of their infrastructure more than anything else. But we wanted to confirm that any changes that were being made wouldn't have a negative impact on us, and we have no changes. So, and not even so far. We'll stay tuned.
And also, I just wanted to mention, I do the updates, and if you see something, please say something. And as you know, it's confidential. So just for instance, this weekend, somebody drove over, and I don't know if you know this, but somebody drove over a sprinkler, especially in the little triangle. So they drove it over, it was shooting up. Somebody called Franco, and he called Seacrest customer service, asked for the 0. It automatically goes into a 911 mode at Seacrest, automatically goes to my phone. And automatically, I got that on Sunday from Seacrest, and I acknowledge it. I called Velati, and it was taken care of. So I'm not sure if something like that happens, somebody called him, he called what he was supposed to, he called Seacrest, they called me. On my phone, I got an automatic email, and we took care of it. So that's another utilization.
That emergency process will be on
Seacrest.
It'll be on the site, so that folks know if they see something, how to respond to it appropriately. So they're not, who do I call? What do I do?
Well, it's already on the website.
I know.
So thanks for doing.
I'm here for everything.
Okay. Any questions for Nora? All right, thanks. Anything else for the good of the community?
Yeah.
Couple things.
Yeah. Last quarter, before, there was a discussion about the roofs not being properly, the attics not being ventilated. When GL built the buildings, they didn't ventilate them, and that supposedly there was going to be a remedy to that.
Well, yeah, there's a couple parts of that. One is that we don't have confirmation that they're not properly ventilated. We did look at this, and we're actually still looking at it. In fact, we'd like to at least put a price together if we wanted to replace the vents the screen vents that were painted over with the original paint job, not the latest one. The latest one kind of added to it because they almost had to, because otherwise it'd be the old color and it'd be on, it'd be very obvious. And so we're kind of waiting for an estimate should we want to try and pursue that. We are, however, as we look toward the roof situation, this is down the road, but we will look at what we might do in terms of any changes to the ventilation. To try and do that now would be hugely expensive. And so far, we haven't had anybody tell us that the ventilation doesn't work.
We don't know.
Well, it seems to be working because we've only had an issue in a couple of units, and we are concerned that those units may not have been running their HVAC.
So this conversation became one of those telephone post office things where something was said and someone took that and said, oh,
And ran with it.
they're all painted over, and we went out and checked and that really wasn't the case. Yes, so.
But nevertheless, we are looking at it. We don't like the fact that some of them have paint on them, but that's not an easy fix. We've already determined that the proper way to fix that is you got to go through the attic, which is almost impossible at this point. The other way to fix it is to cut them out and then create a situation where you're plugging something in that can then be removed in the future. That's kind of what we're waiting for prices on. Should we decide to do that? In the meantime, though, the experts have said, well, they are venting. So, it's not like you have to do this. Would it improve things? Maybe, but that's what we're looking at.
Well, the only problem is if indeed you guys do make a decision to make a change, just make sure that they're perfect.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, it'd have to meet code. And we'd prefer it if it was code plus, but again, the cost gets involved there. So we plan to proceed very carefully in that regard, but we are looking at it. In fact, we got to follow up and find out what, I sort of was expecting some preliminary information already, but okay.
They're very behind.
Yeah.
Road. And so I was doing those house one day, and these people asked me, keep the tractor out outside. I said, well, go there, there's a tractor out.
Yeah, it's another one that, if you look at the new laws, I think the new laws actually allow people to 2 days,
crazy.
2 days before and 2 days after. Well, yeah, yes, but it gets, when you, yeah. So it's like, if you have garbage twice a week, then you're talking 2 days before, 2 days after. So what, there's 1 day when you get, again, yeah, I know. It's back to my original comment when we led this thing off. If we want the kind of community that we expect to live in, everybody's got to do their part. And part of that is you got to take care of your stuff and try to assist. And leaving your garbage cans out is not the recommendation, certainly. So, we would encourage people to, once the garbage has been picked up, put them away. Okay. We could start fining people, but even that has a you start doing that and there's a, you're pursuing a path. I'd rather people, we remind people and hopefully everybody will, or at least as many people as possible, will do the right thing. Okay, anything else? Okay, folks, thank you very much. Motion to adjourn. So moved, seconded. We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.
We want to share with you. We had to replace